Well, welcome to Black Men Speak. It's a podcast that highlights ordinary Black men doing extraordinary things. I'm your host, Keith Dent, and I know probably most of you are watching the St. Peter's game right now. But, in between halftime, make sure you'll tune in because we have a very important um, show that we're going to talk about tonight. It's, I guess, the first full week of spring. And spring is always about rebirth, revitalization, and renewal. And today we're going to discuss a way for our communities to kind of revitalize itself using a financial platform. And you know, and but before we can do that, we must really understand how it works and how we can leverage its power for our benefit. So I'm talking about NFTs and really cryptocurrency. In a 2021 Harris poll, it stated about 16% of adults are actually investing in cryptocurrency and NFTs, but 23% of African Americans are actually delving into this medium, which is actually higher than white Americans. So if anyone doesn't know, NFTs stand for non-fungible tokens. Now, anything beyond that is the reason why we have experts on tonight, or enthusiasts. I was told that they are not experts, enthusiasts. Um, but also creatives need to really understand this so they can passively use this work to sell, but also and invest in. So to help brothers like me, brothers and sisters, understand what it is in this new medium, I'm talking to a friend of mine, Emeka Chiedu, which goes by the name of AR, which is his digital name, and Naseed Gifted of PBS Media. PBS Media is an innovative graphic media company that partners with the community to raise awareness and social consciousness through creative projects. They have offices in Newark, New Jersey, and Edison, New Jersey. So I'm going to bring them up right now. Um, Naseed, Mecca, or AR. I'm going to have to get used to that because he sprung that on me right quick. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing great, doing great.
Great. So let's really get started. I know I kind of, for a tongue in cheek, I titled the today's shows, "Where Can I Buy a Blockchain?" and NFTs, but of course you can't buy a blockchain. Um, so I really want to, but I just tongue in cheek because if you talk about that in the community, not really, people are not necessarily going to understand what it is and how it works. So, but we're going to start first with NFTs. What are NFTs? And explain that. I know they're non-fungible tokens, but give me a little bit more background.
So I believe AR got kicked out for a second, and he'll get back in. But non-fungible tokens are what we talk about. Any IP. So we talk about any IP that is basically a unique digital asset, right? That belongs to you and you alone. So when we talk about, like, let's compare it to the music industry. When we talk about artists owning their masters, that's what an NFT is. So that is, and the most popular NFTs right now are your artwork, music, and any of those other type of projects, and even tweets. So we talk about videos. So any digital asset can be an NFT. So that is what NFTs are in a nutshell. And being able to, when we talk about financial literacy, establishing legacy, that's where the whole market of NFT comes in.
Okay. Okay, great. And so how do you actually get it get to the point where you have an NFT that can be sold? think you're on mute, Mecca, or some. Okay.
Great question. So as Naseed put put it out there, NFTs are their assets. So in the same way, we would have our home, and that asset is part of an open market. NFTs are simply just digital forms, right? Digital assets. So that means that they have rises and falls in value. They're holders of value. Okay. So
Okay.
in terms of being able to exchange, that's done through a marketplace, and the blockchain acts as that particular marketplace. So now some of the more popular marketplaces for NFTs include Ethereum, okay,
Hmm.
Polygon, Solana, and many more that are rolling out there right now. There are well over 18,000 cryptocurrencies, and each one of these cryptocurrencies solve some sort of problem. And some of these cryptocurrencies are focused primarily, well, the technology is primarily used to execute what we call smart contracts. So a smart contract is what connects your IP to the blockchain. So in essence, if I want to send, so if Naseed, if you want, can you show your IP? So brother Naseed has a digital comic, right? He has full rights to that comic, the name, image, and likeness to that comic, and it becomes unique once it's put on the blockchain. It'll have a unique number. It'll have the start of a digital ledger, and then that digital ledger, once Naseed puts it on the open market for sale, I can come in through some very popular marketplaces. So the main marketplace you'll hear right now is OpenSea.
Okay.
So OpenSea again is a very popular NFT marketplace, and all you're simply going to do on OpenSea is you're going to put a bid in to purchase, or if Brother Gifted said, let me go ahead and offer 1 ETH for my digital asset, and from there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to uh, I'm going to accept his bid, and electronically, the ownership digitally transfers from Brother Naseed's wallet to my wallet.
Oh, I see. And so if there was some negotiation, so
Okay.
let's say you Naseed's book was he put it out there for let's just say $100,
Okay.
and we would go back and forth, or if I felt the value was more, let's say it's 100, let's say it's $500,
Yeah.
and I or back and forth, or if I offered 100, he said, well, it's worth 500, and we met somewhere in the middle, then that transaction would go forth on the blockchain.
Okay. Yeah, I'll let Brother Naseed pick that up.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right with that. So for the most part, what happens is, for my older generation, when we think about collecting comic books, right, and baseball cards, let's
Yes,
think
I
about that.
collected those. I
And
so
yeah, so when we talk about the blockchain, we think about that certificate of authenticity, or that what is it, the gold label for the value of your particular comic, or yeah, certificate for your comic, or baseball card, for
okay,
instance, right? So there is a certain blue book value that comes out for that. Now the blockchain is the ledger that captures that information for how much, what the value was, or what it was sold for, right? So within that, you have like OpenSea, which would do almost like eBay and have where you would have a bidding. And then of course it's up to me, because if it's multiple people that are interested in this particular NFT, you know, you probably go with the highest buyer, or whatever the case may be. And then from that point on, the blockchain captures the fact that you are the particular owner of this NFT project. And then there is built in within these smart contracts, which a lot of people don't know, there's a royalty that's built into it. So even though you sell it, there's a certain royalty that kind of comes back to you. So that's your residual income, that your royalties that constantly come in, just like if it was a sitcom and you was on a sitcom and it was syndicated and they put it on a couple of networks and everything, you will constantly get those royalty checks, with regards to that, regardless of how many times it's been sold.
Mm,
So,
okay. But with that, did you add something to add, AR?
oh, can you repeat?
No, did you have something to add to that?
Oh no, so brother
Oh,
Naseed was,
okay.
not no Naseed was totally on point with that.
Okay.
The one thing I would just like to add with that is, we mentioned it before with the technology. Anybody in the world could see that transaction because it's on a public blockchain. So we talked, earlier in the show, that digital ledger is simply your bank statement every month, right? But now this bank statement simply simply is made available and it's public for people to see.
Okay. So, but that's fascinating, because what it says to me is that, so if I'm an artist of any kind, if I can build some sort of momentum and sell my product on it, um, I will always collect money
Correct.
if it gets sold. If it gets sold again and again.
Correct.
So is that one of the reasons why I guess NFTs are gaining more in popularity than in cryptocurrency? I think AR froze. Naseed?
Yeah. So so what he was referring to is how this technology is going to disrupt what's going on in the industry currently. When we talk about independence, and we talk about the gatekeepers. So when we talk about the music industry, we talk about the comic book industry, any of those, even the movie industry. There's a certain level of gatekeepers. So what happens with this is that you actually have access. This is the first time in our particular lifetime that we would actually have access where the entry point is minimum for
It's fair
people
to say
who look like us. So being that if you do grab traction and be able to put your IP on these particular on a blockchain, and then you already have a following behind you, it could be very lucrative for you, and then you don't have to give away your rights of ownership. So that becomes something that's super super phenomenal. And then when we talk about generational wealth, developing a legacy, and then not selling yourself short, that is something that is super super important when we talk about the blockchain, when we talk about NFTs and everything. But just to give you some statistics, like Fortune.com in February reported that people are just buying and flipping NFTs, right? So they're buying and flipping NFTs for huge, huge profits. So a lot of people are trying to enter the industry because they hear about this flip. People are making millions of dollars, becoming crypto millionaires, and all of this other stuff that's going along with that because of these flips. And because the market has been so active over the last half of the first half of 2021, there was about $64 million in sales for NFTs, right?
Mm.
That for the second half, that's in the beginning of 2021. In the second half of that, it jumped up drastically to $750 million in the second half of the year. So you could see the potential. And now they're already talking about how this industry is going to be, this space right now with the NFT market is $41 billion. So where are you within this particular space?
Well, that would be interesting to even start to think about, because now when the numbers start ballooning, and we start to get in the marketplace, which one of the my Tim Davis, who's a good friend of mine, until the government regulations start. So with that said, just a couple of things. How, in the Black community, is it possible that this could revolutionize the Black community? And if that is said, I mean, if that is true, what do we need to start doing in order to do that?
Okay. So first off, to begin things, I am not, neither Brother Naseed, we're not financial advisors. First and
Right.
foremost, we want to be clear with that. This discussion is one amongst friends, and we're here to educate ourselves. With that being said, there was a recent executive order, right, from the federal government, from the White House, um, and it's titled, and folks should Google this because this is pertinent for our community. It's the executive order of ensuring responsible development of digital assets. Okay, so some years ago, or about a year or so ago, cryptocurrency was defined by the IRS and the SEC and the Howey test as being a as being an as being a security. Now, once it became a security, we living here in the States know that regulations are required, right? And it wasn't until as of top of this month, and actually there was some legislation by the SEC last month that were groundbreaking, because now the crypto, as well as NFTs, as well as their respective blockchains, now have to fall when you're in the U.S. It has to fall this under this governmental regulation. So now that changes a lot of things. So the first thing I would say to my community is just three things. Number one, please look before you leap. Please do your research. Okay. So what does do your research mean? Okay. There are just like in any market, like your U.S. markets, you have different communities and different sources, which you can begin to start peeling the onion and really just trying to get some familiarity around that particular blockchain. So my recommendation would be each and every morning to start going to sources like to go into sources like coinmarketcap.com. That's coinmarketcap, all one word.com. Another one would be CoinGecko, and that's all one word.com.
Mhm.
And those are what we regard as indexes, and they really give you a good summary as to how many cryptocurrencies are out there in the markets, what kind of exchanges that we have. So my first point again, do your own research.
So just to, before you, Naseed, you go on, just going on Coinbase and buying a couple of crypto is really not prudent to do. You should really do your research on that.
Okay. I mean, and then just based off of what brother AR was just talking about, there is 5 key factors that you will look for to see if it's a valuable or even worth investing in NFT. So these are 5 key factors. So you want to look at if it has utility, right? And I'll have AR go into these factors a little more. So utility, the founding team members, community, association, and then the art. So those are the 5 key factors to when researching a promising NFT project. So that's utility, the founding team, community, association, and art. So those are the 5 key factors, and I'll let AR jump into it and go a little more detail about those key factors.
Yeah. So with those factors, the first one being stated was around utility. And when we say utility, we're talking about what's the underlying value, right, to the holder. So for us, so I always have to relate it back to something we know. So if I have that Michael Jordan card, let's say it's that Jordan rookie, right, and it's 2 decades later, he's retired. The value of that card is not only a sentimental one, but to the market, I bought it at $2. To the market, it's now $100,000 card, especially if I get it authenticated. So the market dictates utility, right? And at the same time, these respective blockchain, uh, they do certain things to incentivize the holders because that's what you want to do at the end of the day. You want to make your customer happy, right? So utility again being an important factor, when trying to pick a project. Uh, the founding team is back to what the executive order talked about. You have a lot of digital assets that are being created that are tied to scams. And just as much as there was a lot of strong activity in the market, and it had its rises, there was also a lot of increased risk because you had some of these uh, uh,
Yeah, I'm losing them.
some you're including research by asking the right questions, finding out about those members, finding out if they had other collections, finding out if people that are may also be holders with you, how they feel about the project. Unless you're really doing that homework, um, you're at risk, right? You could be at risk for that respective project. The third part was around community, and again, it's just simply back to these online communities, right? My digital name is AR. Right?
Yeah, I think Naseed, I think he froze again.
Can you hear him?
I can hear you.
It's through these communities that we AI. Can you hear me?
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah. So just to pick up on the community piece, it's very important that we have assets, have digital assets that we're comfortable with and other people are comfortable with. So community is a very, very important thing. It's just like in your U.S. markets, and we look at the management team. So that group of managers all are coming from different backgrounds and bringing in different expertise. Um, that's important for a holder because these are digital businesses essentially, and you would want to make sure that your value, right, what you paid for that asset, is protected, right, and the um, the community, which is collective, really in this case. So that means that I equally have stake in this thing. The developer should have equal stake in this thing. Um, we should all, make sure that the project keeps its integrity and long term. The idea is that it will rise over time because we're doing the right things. The last two things, just to wrap it up, um, with the association and the art, simply put, this is IP, and it's important because we're creators, right? There's no other time right now where we can jump on a decentralized platform and have true peer-to-peer, um, true have true peer-to-peer transfer, right? Um, there's always a middleman. YouTube is a middleman. Twitter's a middleman. These publishing companies, middlemen. So they're all getting their piece. But now it's just the creator, the blockchain, and then the buyer. And no other time in history we've had something like that.
And that's great. But it's really safe to say you really need to have or do your research and your education before you dive into this investment platform. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. The good thing is that there are communities out there that have formed in the digital sense. And in the future, it's going to be back to us as folks that are these enthusiasts and growing experts in the space to begin to locally start establishing different boards and councils with with all the stakeholders, the banks, community members, our political leaders, our entertainers, um, any and everybody needs to be at the table right now to begin to understand, and map out what their involvement is going to be with these digital assets going forward. So I agree with you, Keith.
So, but one thing that's interesting is that in our communities, our relationship with money.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So we,
Fear.
by and large, we don't have a real, I guess, a real great relationship with money. I mean, there was a Black Wall Street,
Hmm.
and our community did well, and then that was destroyed,
Hmm.
and we know the state of our our Black communities now. Some are thriving, but a lot aren't.
Right.
So how could a community really come together to try to use this asset to really build up the community?
That's a great question. It's also a very complex one. You're 100% right. Um, our communities have gone through centuries of being exposed to different trauma and experiences that at the end of the day it becomes something that some or a lot of folks just may end up ignoring or just settling and thinking that ownership isn't for me. What I will say to you is, um, at no time ever uh, could we ever stimulate our community and embrace something that we have equal footing in.
Mm.
And again, the barrier for entry, you don't need a 4-year degree. You don't need a 2-year. You don't need a 2-year degree. You simply need to find these communities, find enthusiasts, find and take your time with Google and some of the great media out there. We call YouTube University, right? And just start asking those questions. And trust me when I tell you, just through uh, just through self discovery, you're going to learn more and more each and every day about this phenomenal technology, but more importantly, the empowerment that it's going to bring to you. You're going to be able to transfer it to your family and outer community as well.
So yeah, and with that said, that's great. I'd love to hear your story and actually how did the two of you get started in this medium?
Yeah. So yes. So for me, it actually started coming out of a single parent home. My mom was she's West African, right? So she's coming from a foreign place, and she established herself here in the States. Um, I didn't know. I stumbled onto assets through basketball cards, and comic books because I discovered way back when that they hold value, right? We talked about
Right.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I started. So my first NFT was actually an NBA Top Shot. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which one?
Okay. You know what? My first one, I was supposed to buy top of November of 2020. I was trying to buy a Luka Doncic, right?
Okay.
So Luka was hot. It was only going to be like maybe $8 or $10. Now, mind you, I'll tell you the rest of the story. Um, the purchase didn't go through, right? Because I'm putting my credit card in, and not to get all deep with it, but there's a part where you have to buy crypto. You need cryptocurrency to buy the NFT, and for whatever reason, my card wasn't. It was a Mastercard. It just wasn't accepting it. So it wasn't that card, but I think it was the Devin Booker that I ended up getting top of the year.
Mm.
And, and
Okay.
yeah, and that market started to rise. So I had physical cards that I was always, I always liked, but then these other cards just started to rise. And in the physical card world, we were having $1 million transactions happening, right? Giannis on a Giannis,
Yeah.
uh, Luka Doncic, multi-million-dollar cards, uh, LeBron, a lot of the top stars, their values were just rising off the roof. And equally, some of these NFTs created it created these overnight NFT millionaires, right, in that respective market. So it's just an example of just being in the right opportunity at the right time,
Mm.
right place. And for me, the homework was actually done by a small community that I was a part of, which was in the card collecting space. So
So it's safe to say you'll be rooting for Devin Booker to win the MVP
amen.
as well as the championship.
Listen, Devin Booker is yeah, he's special. He's special.
Okay,
I'll definitely say that.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Um, so I'm glad you went over what you needed to know. And I think if Naseed wanted to jump in, because he has a also unique story on how he got in, I'd love to hear that as well.
I mean, for me, a lot of this came from investing young. I mean, collecting comic books. That was my first thing, and then found out that they retained value. I didn't do baseball cards, but I did used to collect comic books, and then I passed my collection down to my brother. So in my early 20s, I did do some stock investment. So I looked at this stuff as stocks. So just like how you would research particular companies for stocks, doing the same thing with NFTs. And I learned a ton of information. It's like jumping on a wave, right? So I learned a ton of information from AR. So Mr. Chiedu gave me the crash course, and then from that crash course, I did my own research. Ended up buying my first NFT, and I was already doing research for the NFTs because we have our own graphic novel series. We have a number of IPs, as far as animation and everything else that we're doing, and being able to move into that space and be able to leverage it. So that was my origin story, with regards to how we got into NFTs, and then understanding like stock market and everything. And, of course, buying low, selling high, the entry point. The entry point is a lot different for to be able to access wealth. So for anyone who's buying, beer and cigarettes every week, you can use that same money and get an NFT, not, of course, not more of the popular ones, but some of the projects, they do pre-launches and everything else, according to that. But of course, all of that comes with your research of stuff that you're doing. And it goes back into the whole flipping thing and understanding, who's associated, that those 5 key factors of, key factors that you need to know when you're looking to invest into an NFT project. But my knowledge of the stock market, comic books and everything is how I really kind of entered into the market, and now leveraging that same information and the same skill set to be able to determine, how to purchase NFTs and everything as well.
Great. So if for any individuals out there, if they have, let's say, $100, $1,000, or if they're really rolling $10,000, what are some NFTs that they should look at, or at least delve into and find more out about?
Okay, so once again, we are not financial advisors, so we want to make sure
we'll make that disclaimer. There's no financial advisors here.
But some projects that we are definitely excited about. We were looking into Meta Knights. So Meta Knights is a phenomenal project. Metaverse Slam. So Metaverse Slam, CryptoPunks. CryptoPunks, is more on the higher end because they're more established. And then you have, NBA Top Shots, Sandbox. You have Axel Infinity, and then of course Mr. AR. He got a ton of others, but those are some of the projects that I know we both collectively kind of talk about. But I'll let him chime in and kind of give some of the insight into some of the projects that he's excited about as well. Those are the ones we collectively talk about. He has a couple of others because he goes even deeper than I do in this space.
So just to be clear, those are actual companies?
Those are actual NFT projects.
NFT projects.
So those are the projects that actually have NFTs, which for some for depending on the actual project, that may be the company name or that just may be the project name. It all depends on the
Oh, I
actual
see.
piece.
Like I know the big one was the gorilla one where that blew up. That
Yeah,
made
Bored Apes. So Bored Apes and CryptoPunks is under the same company, right?
Yeah.
So they're under the same company. So you know that's why I was like, as far as the project is concerned, and then you can look at the company because they put out some of the same stuff.
Oh, okay,
Mhm.
great.
And when we talk about the one thing that a lot of people don't really understand is with NFT and how the value uh, is determined is, you know, based on the whole supply and demand model, you know, so is really subjective, and that value is based on, you know, those 5 key factors. And we talk about, you know, who owns an NFT. So if you own the same NFT that Steph Curry, because Steph Curry is in the market, you know, where he owns some from my understanding, CryptoPunks and some other thing. Now that increases the value of the same NFT that you may be holding in your particular wallet. You know, so that association, and that's where the association kind of come in. Like, who else owns these particular NFTs that gives it value as well?
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, I just wanted to wrap up. I just wanted to wrap up that part of the conversation, just to throw out two key sources.
Okay.
Yeah, so the first source is cryptoslam.io, and cryptoslam, all one
Okay.
word, .io. That's a um, aggregated marketing tool that's used to monitor the market. So it's a quick picture way. It's a quick way for you to be able to see all the collections.
Okay.
Yeah, under
Under
their
one roof. Gotcha.
yeah, exactly. And then dapradar.io.
How do you spell that?
DAP, DAPP, radar, RADAR, all one word, .io.
Oh, okay.
DAP, radar.io.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So
well, that's great. And so this was, I mean, I know this was definitely a quick crash course on how to get into the NFTs and cryptocurrency. And I know we didn't touch upon that as much, but it sounds like NFTs are really the way to go, or at least a little bit simpler to understand. So is there any, so a couple more questions. Is there a particular program or something that if someone really wants to know the basics and get into, is there a special person or program that you follow that someone could really just to get the knowledge?
yeah. So for me, I've been really leveraging a lot of social groups,
Okay.
so social communities. Twitter. Twitter has actually been a very good source and a good way of identifying a vibrant NFT community, and being able to begin to start following, certain influencers. You can go to YouTube, of course, and you're going to be able to get some news out of there.
Okay.
I mentioned those two other sources as well. There's no one magic thing. It really ends up being like a combination of things.
Okay.
And for myself, whenever I'm, whenever I'm trying to make a purchase, I really stick. I mean, I really stick to my rules,
Okay.
and I only really. So they're just how you have different investors. You have some folks that like quick flips, and you have some folks that like to just stay in a project long term. I'm very confident in the technology, so I'm really a long term investor. So I look at it from the standpoint, Keith, that my within 2 to 5 years, from the time that I bought this NFT, will the value rise or fall? And because the market is so fresh and young, I'm holding or hodling, as we call it. I'm holding all of my assets until the market picks itself up.
Oh, okay. Great. Yeah, well, thank you for that. And has been fascinating. And will definitely do, hopefully, the Black Men Speak listeners will do some more research on the NFT process, and then just because it sounds like you can really create an investment nest egg for yourself
It's a great answer.
without much not regulation, but without much money. And so
Correct.
that's fantastic. I mean, I have baseball cards too, so old ones. So,
Right.
and with that industry not necessarily going belly up, but then it's not doing as well. Maybe I need to get some NFT baseball cards, but
Well,
we'll definitely look in that. So, I always like to leave the show with because it's not just about your knowledge, which was great, by the way. It's just all about who you are and how you're feeling, just as men. So I'd love to hear right now, how are you feeling as kind of as a Black man? And I hate to say in America, but just in the world right now.
yeah, well, the way I feel right now, personally, it's one that's very reflective at this point. Um, I, I, I've I'm in kind of that midpoint in my life right now where I'm not as seasoned, right? In some ways, but then, I this isn't my first rodeo. um, I'm focusing now on definitely health, um, finances, and really just making sure that I'm taking the right steps in terms of staying aligned with what I was put in this world to do. So I have full confidence that I that I did everything in my power to ensure that my kids' future is secure, and our family legacy and our name, stay strong. But it really is something, man. It's back to school. The more time you put into understanding these sorts of instruments, the more long term you're setting yourself up, and you're going to have the ability to hand these skills down to your children and friends and family. So yeah, overall, I'm starting to just focus more on health. Spring just came in, and I'm just doing my thing, man. Just doing
Great. And I know we guys are sharing the mic. So Naseed, I'd love to hear from you.
Man, for me, I'm just I'm ecstatic. I'm enlightened. I feel that from a health standpoint, I'm in a state of peace. Uh, I'm glad for the sacrifices that we're making today, for the legacy that we're going to leave for tomorrow. That is part of some of the things that I'm constantly working on. Just kind of setting goals and working towards those goals, but also setting up the dominoes for the young people to kind of follow behind, because by day I'm an educator, at night I write comics and do these cool things with NFTs and digital assets and everything else that ties into it. But we're planning the nexus of where we can educate more of the masses of our community, be able to learn more about this and enhance their financial knowledge on these fields. Because once again, the entry point, or the entry point for all of us is minimum. And for us to be able to do things and not have to worry about gatekeepers that will deny us access. Where the redlining will come in, or we have to wait for approval from some other entities. The knowledge and knowledge of self and information, which is so powerful for us to be able to do some of the great things, and then also to be able to just tie all of this in back to the educational tool that we'll be able to give to the community for free for the most part. And then we actually have a festival. We actually have ways to be able to get more information with regards to this. So if you, Emeka, AR is actually giving me the number, and I can't even see it. It's so far away from me. I don't have my glasses on, but I'm gonna have him come back over here and give out the number. So if you are excited about this information that we were able to give to you this afternoon, this evening, this morning, depending on where you're tuning in from, we actually are able to give you more information with regards to this. This is really just like a crash course, a dummies guide for NFTs, the blockchain, and understanding cryptocurrency. But we are going to be constantly doing more of these type of things because we actually have a space where we're going to be doing this type of stuff. Like what the F is, what the F is NFTs, and how do I get my project on it? Those type of things. We're going to be providing those type of resources to the community so they can be enlightened and actually go in, because it's about exposure, and because we're going to give them the exposure, hopefully they'll be able to take those opportunities, learn from them, and then be able to profit off of it later on in the future.
Oh, that's great. And I guess if someone was really interested in your NFT projects,
Yes.
how could they find it?
Well, you can find all of our information at PBS Media Studios. So that's www.pbsmediastudios.com. And then also we have a dial-in number. So if you text NFT to the number 732-440-8206. Once again, NFT in the subject line to 732-440-8206. We can provide you with our master classes and everything else that we will be providing later on, with regards to learning about NFTs, cryptocurrency, and the blockchain.
Great. Thank you. Well, Naseed, AR, I just want to thank you for being here today, and I really look forward to having you on again, maybe to delve a little bit more deeper into this subject. So our Black Men Speak audience.
Thank you for having us, man. This is an excellent opportunity for us to be able to educate the community on this space. Like I said, knowledge is power, and because we have the knowledge, that means you can have the power as well. And being that this is a free course right now, so AR talked about it earlier. YouTube University will be the battlegrounds for this actual entry point to be able to learn more about this and just Google and everything else. And then once you get the basics down, you can start getting excited about some of the projects that we mentioned and some of the other projects that's going to be mentioned. And I'm gonna let AR jump in because he wants to say a quick thing as we wrap up. But
Okay.
thank you for the time. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to share, our expertise, because we are enthusiasts, within this space.
Great. Thank you.
Well, when they start putting out certificates and everything else, so we can put a doctor next to our name and all the other stuff, then we'll be the experts in the field.
Awesome.
Yeah, Brother Keith, I just wanted to say thank you as well. And we're here to be of service. So we're definitely looking to hear from people. 732-440-8206. And you'll make sure to text that number. I'm sorry. So text NFT to 732-440-8206. And we'll be getting back in touch with you within the week as to next steps.
Fantastic. Well, Brother AR, Emeka, thank you for being on today, and I'm sure that the knowledge that you gave us will at least get some people interested in how to get started, not only for themselves but for their families as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
So once again, folks, if you are anywhere interested in this NFT process, hey, do your research. Um, as some of the things, some of the tips, do your research, but also understand how you feel about money, and give it money. Don't just dive in because you heard it was hot on the radio or a friend. You really want to be diligent and do your research. Here is the best time to do it. And even if you have a little bit of money, 10, 15, $20, it might blow up. And so and then in invest in something that you like. Don't just do it because of what you heard. And so I just want to thank you. You can follow Black Men Speak podcast wherever you get your favorite podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Libsyn. And I really look forward to talking about this subject more, because if we want to change our communities, we need some money to do it and uplift our families. So thank you.